Welcome everyone. This is the Masterclass. My name is Patricknazareth. I have around 30 years of teaching experience and I hope to use some of that to help dispel your doubts if you have any. Today, the poem we are going to study is Tithonus, written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alfred Lord Tennyson was born on the 6th of August 1809 at Lancashire in England. He died on the 6th of October 1892 at Alworth when he was 83 years old. He was the poet laureate at the time of Queen Victoria. He has composed very many famous poems such as The Charge of the Light Brigade, Ulysses, In Memoriam, AHH, and others. He is the 9th most quoted poet in the world today. Many of his phases have passed into the English language, like for example, the old order changeth, yielding place to the new. And from The Charge of the Light Brigade you have, there's not a reason why, there's but to do or die. Let's continue on to the poem then, shall we? In order to understand this poem fully, let us look at the myth or the legend behind this poem. It is a Greek legend. It tells of a youth called Tithonus. Aurora, who was the goddess of the dawn, fell in love with Tithonus and the two became lovers. So she asked him what boon she could give him, and he asked for the gift of immortality. He requested that he would not die. She went up to Zeus, who was the king of the gods, and requested the same, which was granted. But the two lovers had made a fatal mistake. They had asked for the gift of eternal life, but they had forgotten not to ask that Tithonus would age. What happened was, Tithonus grew older and older and older. He could not die, but his body grew frailer and frailer and frailer. Till the time, as you see in this poem, he himself and wanted to die. The woods decay and fall. The vapors weep their burden to the ground. Man comes and tills the field and lies beneath. And after many a summer dies the man, dies the swan. Me only cruel immortality consumes. I wither slowly in thine arms, here at the quiet limit of the world. A white-haired shadow, roaming like a dream, the ever-silent spaces of the east. Far folded mists and gleaming halls of morn. Here, this is presented as a dialogue between Tithonus and Aurora. The first stanza tells us about the natural order of things, how everything dies. You live a certain age and you die. Whether it is the natural world, that is the woods in this example, or man. So the woods, they decay, they die. Men are born, they grow, they till the fields, they die, they're buried in those same fields. But Tithonus cannot die. He continues living, growing older and older. Where is he living? He is living with the goddess Aurora. Aurora rises in the east. Her palace is said to be in the east, away from all men. She stays alone by herself, and Tithonus stays with her. Alas, for this grey shadow, once a man, so glorious in his beauty and thy choice, who madest him thy chosen, that he seemed to his great heart none other than a god. I ask thee, give me immortality, and didst thou grant mine asking with a smile, like wealthy men, who care not how they give, but thy strong hours indignant worked their will, and beat me down, and marred and wasted me, and though they could not end me, left me maimed, to dwell in presence of immortal youth. In this stanza, Tithonus reflects upon himself, who he was. He was so good looking that even the goddess of the sky fell in love with him. And one day, he asked her for immortality, and she could refuse him nothing because she loved him so much. So she agreed and the request was given. Like I said, she had forgotten to ask that he not age. You could compare her to, say, wealthy people. They have a lot of money, so they give money away without even thinking. So similarly, she granted him immortality without thinking. And then what happened? Time could not claim him, but they were angry at being denied their due. So they worked on him. Time could not hurt him by killing him. They worked at him in an indirect fashion. They took away his youth of which he was so proud, left him an old, frail, and a wasted man. His hair turned white, he had deep wrinkles on his face, and he showed all the outward signs of extreme age. Immortal age beside immortal youth, and all I was in ashes. Can thy love, thy beauty, make amends, though even now close over us the silver star, thy guide, shines in those tremulous eyes that fill with tears. To hear me, let me go, take back thy gift. Why should a man desire in any way to vary from the kindly race of men, or pass beyond the goal of ordinance, where all should pass, as is most meet for all? In this stanza, Tithonus compares himself to the goddess. The goddess is eternally young, eternally beautiful, whereas he is becoming older and more frail and has lost all his beauty. So he asks her that if she loves him so much, if she cares for him such a lot, can she take back the boon of immortality that was given to him? In her eyes, what does he see? He sees the silver star, the North Star. The Greeks believed that the North Star was used by Aurora to chart her way across the sky. He can see it in her eyes. Her eyes are filling with tears because she cannot grant him what he wants. And then he asks himself, why did I do this stupid thing? Why did I want to be different from other people? Men are born, men grow old, men die. Why did he ask not to be a part of that? This rule which every man must follow, he tried to deny. And what is the result of his denial? A soft air fans the cloud apart. There comes a glimpse of that dark world where I was born. Once more the old mysterious glimmer steals from thy pure brows, and from thy shoulders pure, and bosom beating with a heart renewed. Thy cheek begins to redden through the gloom. Thy sweet eyes brighten slowly close to mine. Ere yet they blind the stars, and the wild team which love thee, yearning for thy yoke, arise and shake the darkness from their loosened manes, and beat the twilight into flakes of fire. Tithonus in this stanza gives us a glimpse into the life of the goddess Aurora, what she does. She brings light to the world of men. It is getting to be day. It is time for her to leave. So the clouds begin to part. He describes her beauty, her brow, her cheek, her shoulders. She is a beautiful immortal. No one can compare to her in his eyes. Her horses get ready. She gets ready. It is time for them to go. She gets into the chariot. Horses are yoked to the chariot. This chariot has to carry her across the sky from east to west. And she is gone in a burst of flame. In other words, she rises. Lo, ever thus thou growest beautiful in silence. Then before thine answer given departest, and thy tears are on my cheek. Why wilt thou ever scare me with thy tears, and make me tremble, lest a saying latent in days far off on that dark earth be true? The gods themselves cannot recall their gifts. The goddess Aurora is on her way giving light to the world. Tithonus is left alone. Her tears, the tears that she is shedding, seeing his helplessness, their inability to deal with what is happening. Love is there, but she cannot stop him aging, and she must stay beautiful forever. She has to do her job. She has to bring light to the world. And she goes. Her tears are still wet on his cheek. And he's wondering, why? Why is she crying? He remembers years ago when he was a child, one of the sayings he heard from other men. The gods themselves cannot recall their gifts. In other words, once a god grants a gift, even they cannot take it back. So this man who asked for immortality now doesn't want to be immortal anymore. But can the gods actually take back their gifts? I me, with what another heart in days far off, and with what other eyes I used to watch, if I be he that watched, the lucid outline forming round thee, saw the dim curls kindle into sunny rings, changed with thy mystic change, and felt my blood glow with the glow that slowly crimsoned all their presence and their portals while I lay, mouth, forehead, eyelids, growing dewy warm, with kisses balmier than half-opening buds of April, and could hear the lips that kissed, whispering I knew not what of wild and sweet, like that strange song I heard Apollo sing, while Ilion like a mist rose into towers. In this stanza, Tithonus tells us about the beginning of the love he and Aurora shared. He remembers the times when he used to watch her cross across the sky, the light that she used to bring, how everything became beautiful with her light. He remembers her falling in love with him. He remembers how she used to come to him and kiss him on the forehead, on the lips, on the eyelids, and how soft and wonderful her kisses were to him. And the things she used to tell him, he did not even understand what she told him because obviously she had seen things and knew of many, many things that he did not know. All he knew was that he felt lucky, he felt blessed that a goddess had fallen in love with him and he with her. He compares himself to the god Apollo and the love Apollo had for Ilion. Ilion is another word for Troy. Using this comparison, he basically tries to compare the love that Aurora and he had to the love between Apollo and Troy. In other words, giving his love almost mythical proportions. Yet hold me not forever in thine east. How can my nature longer mix with thine? Coldly thy rosy shadows bathe me. Cold are all thy lights, and cold my wrinkled feet upon thy glimmering thresholds. When the steam floats up from those dim fields about the homes of happy men that have the power to die, and grassy barrows of the happier dead, release me and restore me to the ground. Thou seest all things, thou wilt see my grave, thou wilt renew thy beauty morn by morn. I, earth and earth, forget these empty courts, and thee returning on thy silver wheels. The final stanza of the poem, and we see Tithonus cry out in despair. He has become so old that he feels cold. Her presence no longer warms him. His blood itself is running cold. His feet, his wrinkled feet, can hardly hold him. He remembers the time when he was on earth. He remembers people getting up in the morning, lighting the morning fires to cook their meals. He sees the graves of people that have passed away. He realizes it is a good thing to be mortal. It is a good thing to have a lifespan. Everyone must grow old. Everyone must die. He implores her, you see everything. So please release me from this boon that you have given me. You will always see me because when I die, I will be buried. And since you will be looking down from high, you will see my grave every day. You yourself will grow more beautiful because you're constantly being renewed each day. Each day when you get up, each day as you cross the sky, you retain your beauty, you retain your immortality. I just wish to die. Put me back in the earth. In other words, bury me. I do not wish any longer to stay in this beautiful palace where everything about me is emptiness, where I have no one to talk to. And I just wait for you coming, and I just wait for your going. Please release me from this misery. What are the themes that run through this poem then? The first is obviously immortality. Is it a blessing? Is it a curse? We have an individual who was blessed with immortality. He cannot die. How many of us would like to have the chance? If I gave you that chance, would you take it? Would you like to be immortal? Perhaps you would. How many people can say no? But is it actually a blessing or is it a curse? Because if you are immortal, you get to see the person you love, the people you care for, dying before you. Would you really like to have that happen? So we have to understand that there is a natural order of things. Life, birth, death, they are cyclical. Everything moves as preordained. You are born, you grow older, you grow older, you start becoming older still, and one day you die. Should one interfere with this natural order of things? This poem tries to make us understand that one shouldn't, because at the end of the day, if you try to interfere with the natural order of things, if you try to be immortal, if you try to cheat death, you are not blessed with something beautiful, but with misery, with suffering, till the end of your days, for as long as you choose to live. That's it then, the end of the poem. I hope I have been of some help to you. If I have done so, please do remember to like, subscribe, and share. Remember, there are others out there who might need our help.